YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. We're back after being off for a couple days there. Been pretty damn sick, still kind of battling a crazy fever. So I felt well enough to get on here and make this video, which I did really want to make because Dalvin Cook was just officially released today, and I have my landing spots with him being a free agent ready here. So we'll go over top 10. It's actually more than my top 10. We'll go from 10 to 1 for where I think Dalvin Cook is likely to sign. So we're talking with you guys about this and the specifics on Twitter as always, so make sure you follow us there to be kept up to date. We've been uploading more YouTube shorts lately, so check all that out. And then there's a link pinned in the comments for anything you're looking for. Twitter, our sponsors, Liquid IV, I swear by that stuff. 20% off code GOAT, and then GLD Shout 33% off code GOAT. Links pinned in the comments. So yeah, for Dalvin Cook as maybe the top free agent available, I cheated a little bit with number 10 because it's multiple teams here. Honestly, I really don't see him landing with any of these teams. It's maybe the top 9 is really the cutoff, but it's been weird stopping at 9. So the 10, there's a bunch of other teams that I could see in some way, and I kind of put the Bucs and the Rams in the same category because the Bucs and the Rams at first glance look like a legit landing spot for Dalvin Cook, because they could use a running back, number one. But they're both very limited cap space right now. Cook could be a one-year deal. I mean, they're going to need some sort of cap space to be able to make this happen. So for that reason, and they both might be in some sort of retool, rebuild situation, probably not for Dalvin Cook. Saints, Kamara could be suspended, and they're always valuing the running back position, so maybe. Eagles is a team that's like never afraid to get better, always looking to add, but they did add Swift and Penny this offseason. The Bears, I see people mentioning the Bears. I see the odds list where they're high up there. They're still kind of in the rebuild, a little further along now than last year, obviously, but the rebuild stages, they like staying young. They got Foreman, they drafted Johnson, they have Herbert, they signed Homer as well. So I think they're more likely just to stick with what they got. And then would Cook sign there, maybe looking for more of a contender. So those are like tied for my number 10. I'm not really counting on these. I think the top 9 separate themselves, and I think you can divide it. We'll divide it up, throughout their way here. But number 9, I'm going to go with the Bengals. Bengals are a little bit more of a wild card right now that become a serious landing spot if one thing happens, and that's if they move on from Joe Mixon. Honestly, they could do that. There's been some talk of doing that, so they can move on from Mixon, add Dalvin Cook, or maybe they could add Dalvin Cook and then move on from Joe Mixon. So if we know they're willing to do that and they kind of shoot up the rankings, closer to 1 maybe as a possibility. Cook's been more of an outside zone runner. The Bengals have mixed it up a bit. You've seen them being pretty dominant inside runs, which Cook could do, so I'm not putting it past them or anything. But so I guess you do wonder about, they could think Mixon's just better for them than Cook. It's definitely a possibility. I thought P. Ryan really fit that system very well. It's unfortunate they lost him, but they do have some other backs that could really step up as well. But it's kind of a wild card right now. But if one thing happens, or they're willing to do that one thing, which has to do with moving on from Mixon, they're way more than just a wild card. So Bengals at 9. I actually have the Bills down at 8, which I think, if based on me seeing the odds and seeing or hearing other people talk, I think they would put the Bills much higher than 8. But to me, they're a little stubborn when it comes to things like this, especially the running back position. But they also have a decent group. Of course, you can find ways to get better from that group, but I think they like their group. They have the brother of Dalvin Cook, James Cook, who they think is going to step up this year. They add Damian Harris, who could be a legit running back 1, obviously. They recently signed Latavius Murray, which is his spot in the roster, like confirmed, locked in. No, but they have Naheem Hines as well. They have a long list of guys. They're not valuing the position extremely high, and they valued it more by where they drafted James Cook a year ago and then signing Damian Harris this offseason. So that might be enough for them. With the Leonard Floyd contract, they did make it an emphasis to save space now, so they might be looking to do something else. And I ranked them. I think the top 9, like I said, are legit. So I think it's possible. I'm just not really counting on it. And the Bengals jump them if we learn they're willing to move on from Mixon, or they do move on from Mixon. I just think the Bills, where they value things, and how picky they are and what they already have at running back, just maybe not as high on them as a Dalvin Cook landing spot as everyone else. Number 7, I'm going to go with the Chargers. They should value adding another running back. Eckler's very good, but is he a do-it-all, handle X amount of carries inside the tackle side running back? Maybe not. Kellen Moore's going to value the running back position, having a good duo or trio, whatever it is. And they got other guys that can play. Kelly, Spiller could step up, obviously. I wasn't super high on him, but, and they need to be able to run the ball more. We saw that in the second half of the Jaguars game. They need to be able to run the ball more, be more physical in that category as well. And they do have a little bit of money to spend right now as well, but I think the negative why it won't happen is how you going to give Eckler and Cook the amount of carries that they need. Cook's not going to sign. I feel like Cook might go. I might not sign there because, they're going to give Eckler the ball this amount of times. I'm going to be not getting the ball as much as I need. I think the way this would happen is if they sign Cook and they really decrease Eckler's load, I guess, carries. So, but they could really, really use a guy like Cook and just really just adding a guy like Cook can open up the run game, which they need, but it really opens up the passing game as well. And again, I think Kellen Moore would value it a lot, but I guess the tricky part is dividing up the carries, making it appealing enough for Eckler, but mainly Cook in this situation. So I'll go with the Chargers at 7. 6, I'm going to go with the Cardinals, who I think would be the team. The fit is ridiculous, believe it or not. New staff, the fit makes a lot of sense. They bring in Drew Pensing, who was actually with the Vikings at one point, but was recently with the Browns, but that's their offense coordinator. He's going to run more of an outside zone offense, which Dalvin Cook is an outside zone runner. He could be the best or one of the best in football in that category with his cutting ability, home run hitting ability. So it's a great fit. It's a dream fit, really. They have a lot of spending money, so that'd be the other reason. If he's just like, maybe he wants to go to this team, that team, the contender team, but then maybe he won't be able to pass up the money. The Cardinals can just offer a ridiculous amount, maybe on a multi-year deal, because they got their dream fit. They got their running back for the future because, again, a guy like James Conner is very solid. They're probably fine with rolling with him as RB1 this year, but the new system, the new scheme is different, so he doesn't fit it. He's more of that power runner, inside runner. So this would be an upgrade but mainly as a big time fit. And again, they could give him a multi-year deal in a big amount of money where he just can't refuse it. So that could be the case here for Dalvin Cook. And again, it's mainly because of dream fit and they can offer him a big amount of money. But the Cardinals may just sit here like they kind of been doing and say, we're not really too worried about winning right now. We're worried about the future. Where's Dalvin Cook going to be a few years from now when we're ready to compete for a Super Bowl? So they may pass. So that's kind of the downside there. But again, fit and money kind of makes it make sense a little bit there. Now we get on the top 5. This is actually a team that really isn't being talked about a whole lot. I'm surprised because we're usually talking about the Baltimore Ravens when guys become available. But I think people look and they go, all right, they got J.K. Dobbins, they got Gus Edwards, they got Justice Hill. They're pretty much set at running back. Now I agree that they're very talented at running back, but this is a team, there's multiple reasons why this makes sense. This is a team that isn't afraid to get better. They add pieces like this on 1-year deals, which would make sense here. They value running the football, which they might be starting to pass the ball a little bit more. They might want Lamar to run a little less, though, so adding a big-time running back makes some sense. The old scheme was a lot of inside running, a lot of power running. It sounds like they're trying to adjust, add a little bit more, be a little bit more different. So Cook would make sense, adding more outside zone, which they really didn't do before, but I could see them doing some now. Adding a little bit more of that, but just getting better at the position. I know Dobbins is good, but you get better at the position here. It makes the offense that much better, and it helps you add more to the playbook, add more to your game there. And on top of that, there's some legitimate injury concern when it comes to those running backs, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. So adding a guy like this that's just better. But Cook has had some things pop up in the past, but I'd say you can trust a little bit more in terms of durability, a little bit more. So I could actually, and they have a little bit more spending money still. So, I can actually see the Ravens doing this. I could actually see it. A 1-year deal, and then get that compensatory pick from, in the future if they let him walk. I could see it. So Ravens at number 5, not really being talked about much at all, which is a little surprising to me. Again, this is my prediction because I have them at 5. But they make my top 5. Number 4 is going to be the New York Jets. And the Jets on paper look like they're definitely set at running back. I mean, Breece Hall, I love the Abanikanda draft pick, and then Michael Carter as well. But the Jets have some spending money, number 1. Number 2, I mean, Dalvin Cook is different. Breece Hall is pretty different, though. He's going to be very good. And I love me some Abanikanda. But then, Breece Hall, how do they feel? It's going to depend on what the staff feels about him coming off the injury. He looks like he could be good to go. Like, I seen videos of him working out, cutting a little bit. But if they're like, yeah, we want to take it easy with him because he's only in his second year. We're trying to win right now. The Aaron Rodgers window is not big. It's not big. It could be 1 year, it could be 2, it could be 3. It's probably like the 2-year type situation. They're trying. They put all the chips in right now. They're trying to win the Super Bowl right now. So going to getting a guy like this and healthier. I know he has some injury concern, but healthier than Breece Hall right now. You just get better. It's definitely a tremendous fit as well with that type of offense. And they've proven to me that they aren't afraid to get better. Like, they're going to go out there and just like, there's some teams that are like, we don't really absolutely need a player at this position, even though we're contending. We just need to get better to actually contend more. But we don't really need a guy at this position. So let's save our money. Let's not do it. There's a lot of teams like that. But then there's contenders that are like, F it, let's just go get better. Let's go get these guys. Let's not settle. I love that, by the way. And I feel like the Jets are that team right now, one of those teams that aren't really afraid to get better. They're going to go out there and do that stuff. So it's really good. But if they're sitting there, and they're definitely thinking about it, but if they're sitting there and like, all right, because Breece Hall, I mean, could be better than Dalvin Cook, at the end of this year, we could be saying Breece Hall is just better. We actually could be saying that's realistic. So if they're saying that Breece Hall is going to be good to go, we're not really too worried. We're not going to be cautious, which sometimes is good. Sometimes being too safe is, not great because you want your star running back out there. It's really going to depend on that, So I could see that scenario as well where they're like, we'll stick. We got some good backs. We'll stick with what we got. So very interesting one, though. 3, the Cowboys. The Cowboys really should be all in on Dalvin Cook. I mean, Tony Pollard's coming off injury. How is he going to be right away? And you don't have Zeke anymore. I mean, I don't expect a whole lot from Deuce Vaughn right away. Not the best running. I mean, the running, if they went in the season with the running backs they have now and Tony Pollard was healthy, I think they would be effective. They would be effective on the ground. But, on paper, it's not the best running back in the group in the world right now. And the Cowboys are trying to win right now. And they've kind of shown that, too, a step up of not being afraid to get better, getting Brandon Cooks, getting Stephon Gilmore. Moving on from Zeke, and they valued the running back position. They valued Zeke, just too much money. They can get Cook, and I think it's a pretty appealing spot. I think that would be big, and I think they realize that as well. And they have some spending money right now, so I think they would. I think they would be for this. I think they should be for this. So I think the Cowboys for Dalvin Cook is a top 3 landing spot. Number 2, I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. We've actually already heard that they're in on Dalvin Cook, and apparently they've been in on Dalvin Cook. So that means maybe they made the call about possibly trading for him. So there's actually that much interest, which I don't want to say was a surprise team in that category, like learning that they were they've been in for weeks. I don't know if it's like super surprising, but yeah, I don't know if I would have guessed for them to be in the top 3 here because they do have Javonte Williams, who I love. I think if he's healthy, I think he could be better than Dalvin Cook. Not Dalvin Cook from a couple years ago, but right now I think Javonte Williams is that good. But there was some talk that he was definitely not going to be ready for the early portion of this upcoming season. Recent reports said that he actually could be good for week 1. So that's a little interesting. They also added Samaje Perine, who's a stud. So it almost looks like they don't really need him, but Sean Payton's that type of guy that is just not afraid to get better. He's going to go out and add talented players. He values the running back position very much. He likes those those dominant cut backs, one cut and go, hit the lane, home run hit, and he's very comparable to Alvin Kamara. I think Kamara is a little bit better of a receiver, but we see Dalvin Cook on the slip screen game and how dominant he is there. So he's going to fit Sean Payton's offense offense more than Javonte Williams, and I'd love me some Javonte Williams. I love me P. Ryan too. He's going to be more of a fit right away, and then you do wonder about Williams' injury, which I heard good things recently, but I guess you're better safe than sorry. Then you also have George Payton there, who's their GM, who was actually with the Vikings for a long time, so that makes sense as well. They're going to value the running back position. I feel like Sean Payton's a guy that's not afraid to get better. I mean, they added Frank Clark. Frank Clark's a guy that shows up in big-time games. He played for their rival for so long. He shows up in big-time games, make big-time plays, and you even question the fit based on the Broncos' pass defense. But, here's a guy that, again, knows how to, he's been part of winning culture. He knows how to show up in big-time moments, even though he doesn't have a crazy stat line in the playoffs. He does. So they just weren't afraid to get better there in that category. They went and got better because they saw the opportunity. So the Broncos fall into that category. It definitely helps that we know that they've been kind of involved in Dalvin Cook, which is actually a little bit of a surprise at how much they've kind of been involved. It kind of dates back weeks ago, according to Adam Schefter. So I'll put the Broncos at 2, and I am going to put the Dolphins at 1 for multiple reasons. Honestly, on paper, it looks like they could be okay with what they have. Mostert, Wilson, A-Chain, etc. A couple of the Washington guys, which McDaniel said, the Washington boys there. But they were linked to Dalvin Cook already, with possibly trading for him months ago. They then did sign Mostert in Wilson, so that I guess does change things a little bit. And then they drafted A-Chain, but I feel like they're not afraid to get better as well. That they see an opportunity to get a better running back here. And upgrade that running game. I think it makes sense. A contending team, an appealing spot. Jalen Ramsey forced himself there, so it's obviously a very appealing spot to star players. It doesn't have to be star players, big time players. And it's his hometown. He's from Miami. He's kind of hinted at that he would like to be there, obviously. And Mike McDaniel's kind of hinted at that they could be interested in signing him. So for multiple reasons, this makes a lot of sense. Kind of similar, we were talking about the DeAndre Hopkins situation, where if he goes for the contender, like he's going to go to the Chiefs, we'll say, and then if he goes for the money, it's going to be like the Patriots, something like that, just examples. And then Dalvin Cook could be the similar situation, like if he goes where like the appealing spot where he wants and a pretty good team, he's going to go to the Dolphins. If he's only looking for the best possible contender, I guess that makes it a little tricky, right? I mean, he could still go to the Dolphins there, or maybe the Cowboys, a team like that. I don't, and I mean, maybe the Bills if he wants to play with James Cook. I just don't see. I don't really see that one as much as other people. Ravens could be interesting if he's going for the money, just straight money. Or the Jets for the contender. The Jets could be that contender team as well. But if he's going straight for the money, I mean, the Cardinals probably can offer the most. Because I'm just wondering if somebody could offer a ton on a 1-year deal, but then I'm wondering if somebody comes along and offers a 2 or 3 year deal for a good amount of money. 3's a little much. 2-year deal for a good amount of money. He's like, I can't refuse that. That could be a team like the Cardinals, like a team like the Jets. I think they want to go Breece Hall for the future and Abanikanda. So I think it'd be a 1-year deal. It could be pretty pricey. I'd actually say the Cowboys. The Cowboys are kind of like that contender team that also could do a 2-year deal because Tony Pollard's an upcoming free agent. So that actually makes some sense. The Cowboys might be a little afraid to do a pricey running back contract because of Zeke, though. But then you got the Broncos, which could be that wild card in terms of how much they could. I mean, they're not going to offer a crazy amount, but how many years? And the Dolphins too. The Dolphins could offer that multi-year deal. But I'm feeling, the teams that are kind of a mixture, like they're kind of a contender, they're very good. They're not going to lowball them. They might offer them a 1 or maybe a 2-year deal, maybe a 3. Those teams feel like the best, and that kind of, I think the Dolphins, Broncos, Cowboys, those teams, maybe why they're in the top 3 there. But I think a lot of us have the Dolphins at 1. There's a lot of things like hinting at that this could happen, but I think there are teams that can offer more money. There definitely are teams that can offer him more money. So we'll see what it comes down to there. Again, it sounds like he wants Miami, but somebody could offer him something like that surprises him a little bit and it makes him go like, I guess I can't pass on that. So we will see. There's always surprises, so we'll see if there will be some. But let me know your rankings, your thoughts in the comments. We're always talking with you guys on Twitter right now. Apologize for being a little delayed or slow on the uploads recently. Been not feeling too great lately, but we've been starting to do our record predictions too. We'll get back on track with that very soon. But yeah, that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.